Hello guys, Dan from the Rebel Gaming Club here. I just watched a video a couple days ago. My buddy Dave over at D-Dave and Jared, Scorpion Slayer, they released their top 10 favorite albums of all time. I figured, hey, I've been playing music half my life. Why don't I tell you guys what my top 10 is? Coming in number 10, Future Islands with their first album, their debut, In the Evening Air. 3-piece, drum machine, synth pop, very catchy and melodic, very dark, very dancey. The album is perfection. My buddy Tasker turned me on to them a few years ago when I was working on my synth pop band, Mock Title. I had never heard about these guys before, and now I'm a major fan. I've seen them live. They just released a new album a few days ago. I picked that up. So, In the Evening Air, do yourself a favor. Please check that one out. Guarantee you'll love it. Coming in at number 9, David Bowie and Ziggy Stardust. There's several Bowie records I could have thrown in this spot, but I'm going to sum it up by saying that that one probably is my favorite Bowie record because it pretty much takes you on a ride from the start of the album right until the end of the album. It doesn't miss a beat. Every song is memorable, as is all these albums that I'm going to tell you. That is my top 10. There's not a dud in any of these albums, but Ziggy Stardust, a lot of you guys already know it. I'm not going to talk about it anymore, but that's my number 9. Coming in at number 8 is Iggy Pop, Lust for Life. I don't know if you guys love the Stooges like I love the Stooges, but if I'm going to pick a record of Iggy's, I love those Stooges records, but Lust for Life is on a whole different level. Produced by David Bowie, and it has a sound all of its own, almost like an out-of-tune, phased-out guitar sound. The bass and the drums have their own kind of rhythm going on. Each track kind of sits in its own pocket, and it's different from the one prior. A lot of you guys probably know the title track, Lust for Life. You probably know The Passenger. There's Neighborhood Threat is on there. It's chock full of great songs, start to finish. Takes you on that ride. So, number 8, Lust for Life. Number 7, The Replacements, Tim. I used to be part of the Columbia Tape Club that used to happen in the 80s and the 90s. When I was in my freshman year of high school, I signed up like 5 different accounts. Tim was one of those records that I got. Actually, it was on cassette. And at the time when I got it, I was just getting into punk rock. I didn't quite know what it was, but I knew I was just getting into punk rock. I knew I liked it, didn't know why I liked it. Tim was one of those records that for some reason just stayed with me all these years and kind of grew on me. The older I got, the more I understood just about what Paul Westerberg, the singer-songwriter for that band, was doing. Bastards of Young, Waitress in the Sky. The album, once again, this is a perfect album, or I wouldn't be talking about it right now. It's pretty much an album that shaped who I am as an artist and performer, and just how I think about things, and I don't take things all that serious, but I still do. I can thank that to Paul Westerberg and The Replacements with Tim. Number 6, Motley Crue's first album, Too Fast for Love. Here I was, mid-80s, 3rd grade, I discovered Motley Crue. Theater of Pain had just come out. I was such a massive fan of Motley Crue. Like, me and my buddies would get together and we'd play, do like air band where, you're playing You're playing a broom as a guitar and someone's, beating on the couch sofa as a drum set. We would do that almost every other day to Motley Crue, especially the first album, which was a hybrid of punk rock. It was a hybrid of glam metal. It was a hybrid of straight metal. It just had every element of music that I love all crammed in it. Little did I know, years later, that it would be such an important album for me. It really was the gateway into rock and roll music and aggressive music to where I am right now. Motley Crue, Too Fast for Love. Number 5, Bob Dylan's Times They Are Changin'. I think I spent about 2 years of my life, every morning I'd wake up, I'd hop in the shower. That was an album that I played over and over. That was my morning routine album. Something about it, it's not Bob's first album, it's his second album, but it's his first album where I think he really put everything together. What he had to say and the production and the rawness of it. The subject matter, it's incredible. The stories he writes and just how much it holds up to the test of time, really. The themes he was writing about back then are still super relevant today, dealing with a lot of race issues, and more or less that is the underlining tone is change. When is it going to happen? And yeah, just incredibly smart songwriter. And my favorite Bob Dylan record, Times They Are Changin'. Number 4 is the only live album on this list. I don't know if that's cheating, but when you have a live album that defines who you are as an artist, I think it's okay. And at number 4 is Live from the Harlem Club by Sam Cooke. Wow. I can't count the times I've listened to this album. This is one of those records you can put on if you're traveling somewhere. You get a long drive and you just want to feel good. If you're at work and you're feeling down, you throw that on. If you're around the house cleaning up, if you want to party, if you want to relax, it is the record that just transcends time altogether and just feels so alive and so fresh. As you guys know, Sam Cooke was a soul R&B singer, one of the pioneers. And if you've heard his official records, they're pretty safe and they're pretty tame. And I'm guessing because they were trying to sell to a white audience for the most part. And that's why this record wasn't released until 1986, years after his death. I figured they had nothing to lose at that point, and they put it out, and I mean, what else can be said about it? It is the way to hear Sam Cooke. You hear the crowd, you hear the audience. It sounds like there's about 250 people in this club, and they know every single word. The saxophone players are just destroying it, the drummer's destroying it, the whole band, super tight. And Sam is just riffing with the band and with the crowd, and it's so locked. It's so perfect. I love it. I love it. I love it. Sam Cooke, Live from the Harlem Club. And the Harlem Club isn't in Harlem. It's in Florida. When I found that out, I was kind of bummed out. Number 3 is Weezer's Pinkerton album. The sophomore album from Weezer. First album, incredible, but Pinkerton, to me, the songwriting is so clever, and it was a total flop for those guys when it came out. I remember being in high school, me and a couple of my friends hopped in his Camaro. We drove 4 hours to see them in the small club to about 400 people. And just blew me away. They played Pinkerton pretty much from start to finish, and from there on out, I was hooked. That was my album. it's still my album. I still play it a few times a month, and I still get that feeling of being a teenager again. And it's a shame what Weezer has become. And I think a lot of the key to their success was having their original bass player. Once they kind of did that split, it was never quite the same with Weezer. And obviously the bass player went on to do a band called The Rentals, and his debut album was incredible. So you kind of put it hand in hand that was probably the reason. But Pinkerton, Pink Triangles is on there. Tired of Sex. Yeah, there's a bunch of great tunes. But for me, yeah, number 3 on my list, Weezer, Pinkerton. Number 2. This next artist, there's several records. And for some weird reason, the record by this artist that I thought I wanted to use and put on this list isn't the one I chose, because for some weird reason it doesn't hit me like it once did. The artist I'm talking about is Van Morrison. Now, he did an album called Astro Weeks, which for years was one of my favorite records. But in the last couple years, it just doesn't fill me like his album Moondance does. Moondance, what do you say about it? There's something about it that's so special. I keep saying that a lot, special, but these are all special records. I don't know how to describe it. Go listen to it. It's soul music, but it's so organic. It's so rootsy. It's so acoustic. It's so natural. And yeah, I love it. Moondance, number 2. Guys, we're on to my number 1 record. Before we do that, though, honorable mentions. There was a lot of artists and albums that I left off this list only because, yeah, just maybe 1 or 2 songs on a record, I didn't love 100%, so I didn't put it on this list. You could name Springsteen's Darkness on the Edge of Town would be right there. Ryan Adams' Jacksonville record. OK Computer by Radiohead would probably be on that list. I have my list right over here, actually, of stuff that didn't make it. Every Picture Tells a Story by Rod Stewart. Just barely missed my list here. Degeneration, No Lunch. And there's way more than that, guys. Let's just get to it. My number 1 record of all time is London Calling by The Clash. Oh, boy. So it's pretty much a double record, guys, of pure goodness. Infusion of rock and roll, traditional rock and roll, punk rock attitude, ska and reggae music, the orchestration on it with the horns and the percussion work and the drumming, the lead guitar work, the bass, there's not a flaw about London Calling. It is the greatest record ever recorded, in my humble opinion. And like with all these records I've been talking, there's no way for me to describe it to you guys. It's one of those things, you need to listen to it. You need to live with it. And maybe you get it and maybe you don't. I feel bad for people that don't get some of these records, because it's life music. This is stuff that you grow with. This is stuff you learn. This is how you learn, is from music like this. And it opens your mind and gets you thinking. Yeah, London Calling, number 1. That wraps it up, guys. That's my list. I'd love to hear your top 10 list. I guess I could tag a few people. I'm going to tag the Gorilla Gamer, because I know he's a musician as well. He played in bands. I'd like to hear his top 10. Yeah, let's leave it at that. Gorilla Gamer, let's hear your top 10. But everyone out there, feel free to share your top 10 list as well. Like I said, I was inspired from Dave, from D-Dave, and Jared, Scorpion Slayer. Those guys put their lists up and it got me excited about music and to talk about music for a few minutes. So, yeah, Dan from Rebel Gaming Club.